And welcome to your Energy Quick Chat here on Energy Frontiers. I am Justina Okechukwu. Today, we look at Horsepower Systems, which has secured $750,000 in debt from Germany's development finance institution, DEG, to build 8 new community solar microgrids in Nigeria. According to Horsepower, the 8 microgrids will connect more than 500 residential and commercial customers and reduce the number of diesel generators in use by 400 while creating about 40 new jobs in Nigeria. Joining me now to discuss this further is the Chief Marketing Officer at Horsepower Systems, William Brent. Welcome to the show, sir. Now, so tell me, how will this funding round impact your electrification drive in Nigeria?
So I think you know, mini grids are energy infrastructure. So they are very capital intensive. They require a lot of money to build. And, so debt for financing these projects is a critical component to it. So, and this is the first debt that we've raised in Nigeria. So that is a good indicator of, the potential for growth. In practical terms, it'll allow us to go from 12 mini grids to 20, so nearly doubling our fleet in Nigeria. And then from that 20, we expect to raise additional debt to triple that number to at least 60 mini grids by the end of this year. So it's a good first step toward reaching that goal. And then ultimately our goal in the next 3 to 4 years is to build 500 mini grids in Nigeria.
So how was Horsepower able to raise the latest funding considering the challenges of investments in the microgrid sector? William?
Yeah, that's a great question, Justina. It goes back to, I think, our founding as a company in 2008. So we created the mini grid industry in 2008. And we've been doing this business for longer than anyone. And so as a result, we have a track record of being a bankable company. We've raised about $40 million to date. That includes over $10 million in debt from leading investors like Shell Ventures and Engie and FMO Swed Fund. So, we have a track record. I think the other really important part is that we've actually built a profitable business model. And that we're the first company to actually be able to claim profitability within the mini grid industry. And, investors are, whatever the challenges of the macro environment, if you've got a profitable business, they will invest.
All right. So aside from financing, what other factors hinder the rapid scaling of the microgrid markets in Nigeria for you?
So, financing is important. We've talked about debt. I think, the access to affordable long-term local currency debt is still a gap that needs to be filled in Nigeria somewhat. It's starting to come online. You're starting to see some local financial institutions in Nigeria start to get into the market. So that's a positive development. The other things I would say are domestic supply chain for both components that we use in our mini grids, like smart meters or solar panels, as well as appliances. We also sell appliances to our customers, and that's both for commercial use and for domestic household use. And there's still a gap in terms of domestic supply chain. So everything's imported. As a result, importation and logistics are also a bit of a bottleneck. Importation costs are high. Domestic logistic costs are also high, so that increases the cost of our projects. So addressing those two things is quite important. The other thing I would point out is partnership. We're an energy company, but because this is such a nascent industry, we're often required to do a lot of things that we really should rely on partners to do, whether it's, working with smallholder farmers and other agricultural stakeholders to try and scale what they do, or accessing microfinance that can then finance our appliance sales. So these types of partnerships, as well as with the discos in Nigeria. Now we're starting to work with them, but I think the more that we can bring in other players who can take up some of the onus off of the mini grid developers to address agriculture, finance, et cetera, that will be a big help as well.
Now, how would these projects help Africa achieve energy transition and growth?
So mini grids power entire communities, right? So we're coming into off-grid communities that previously had no electricity. And if you're able to, and energy is a fundamental precursor for an economic growth. So in that sense, by coming into these communities, electrifying them, we're enabling the potential for economic growth and job creation. That's an important piece. More importantly, I think we can also make a major contribution to the energy transition in Nigeria by displacing diesel generators. So we're seeing in the communities that we now operate in, about 40 to 50% of diesel generators in those communities going offline in the first few months of operation. And that's huge in Nigeria, where diesel generation capacity actually is greater than the grid generation capacity itself. So I think both on the growth side and on the transition side, we can make a really important impact.
So tell me about your operations in other sub-Saharan Africa and what your broad strategies are for the new year 2023.
Yeah, so Africa, I think we as a company think that Africa has the potential to be a solar superpower, right? So we came into the market first in Tanzania. That was the first country we entered. And then we entered Nigeria in 2020. And we will certainly enter at least one new country this year in 2023. Exactly where we're still working that out, but we're looking at countries that have a significant energy access gap like Nigeria, as well as, enabling policy and regulatory environments. So we're looking at countries like Ethiopia, Uganda, Democratic Republic of Congo, Madagascar, et cetera. We're also this year going to be moving into what's called the interconnected mini grid space in Nigeria. We'll start in Nigeria doing that, working with the discos there, the distribution companies, looking for areas within their concession where we can partner and set up a mini grid within their concession area and service a portion of their customers through solar mini grids.
That's really nice. So many thanks, Mr. Brent, for joining us on the show today and for those great insights.
Thank you, Justina.
And that's it on your Energy Quick Chat today. I am Justina Okechukwu. Bye for now.